Okay, guys, so this is very, very interesting. Brett Cooper made a video critiquing Fresh and Fit, and I got a couple minutes into it, and I realized I should probably analyze this because there is some breakdown between the right and the red pill that just continues to exist for no reason, in my opinion. Both the right and the red pill, or understanding the true aspects of intersectional dynamics or improving yourself, they're all very interlinked. At this point, anyone that cares about objective reality or bettering themselves, engaging in meritocratic systems, would be considered on the right. But I would consider this the first L I've ever seen from Brett Cooper in terms of her response and her analysis. And I only got a couple minutes in, but so far, from what I've seen, this video is 12 minutes long, but from what I've seen, I think she's actually letting her emotionality play too much of a role here, and she's not understanding exactly what they're saying. Also, there's the element here of taking clips out of context, which is very, very unfortunate. The most viral moments a person has are actually not often the best windows into who they are, because most viral moments are almost always going to be clips. They're going to be YouTube shorts. This is the reason why it would be absurd to try to understand who Jordan Peterson is, for instance, by watching shorts of Jordan Peterson talking. No, you should watch the 2-hour conversation, part 1 of him talk to Sam Harris, and then come back to me about who Jordan Peterson actually is. So let's start this video, and I'm going to explain to you what I mean here.
Welcome back to the comment section. I'm Brett Cooper. So I'm sure y'all know about the red pill bro manosphere culture, whatever you want to call it. These are people online, mainly on Twitter and on their own podcasts, who claim that women are unredeemable, marriage is a sham, there's no good reason for a man to get married in 2024.
No, they don't claim that women are unredeemable, actually, and they don't claim actually that marriage is a sham either. They say that marriage is unfavorable to men, and then you have to take a lot of steps to protect yourself. But Fresh and Fit do not hold the position that marriage is unredeemable. In fact, they had a conversation with somebody recently and agreed that marriage is a good outcome for men if they can find a good woman, and they said that the nuclear family is the backbone of civilization. A more prominent point here that I would say, though, is that there's a tone Brett Cooper's taking when she talks about, listen to this.
Y'all know about the red pill bro manosphere culture, whatever.
There's this like condescending tone she's using to describe people who basically just care about understanding the objective aspects of reality. And unfortunately, this rings to me of resentment. This doesn't sound like the Brett Cooper that I'm familiar with listening to. I've seen many of her videos. This doesn't sound like her to me so far.
Whatever you want to call it. These are people online, mainly on Twitter and on their own podcasts, who claim that women are unredeemable, marriage is a sham, there's no good reason for a man to get married in 2024. They give
Fresh and Fit has never said there's no good reason for a man to get married in 2024 because the dating marketplace has changed, which is objectively true.
men terrible advice, superficial advice on how to be masculine and alpha. Newsflash, men. Most of that advice would give normal women the ick.
Oh, that's really not good. That's a massive L, because the people that talk about Fresh and Fit like this never watch Fresh and Fit episodes. And objectively, what Fresh and Fit does talk about, especially when it comes to going to the gym, being stoic, embracing competition, and bettering yourself relentlessly, not making excuses for yourself, taking accountability. These are all literal aspects to masculinity. So it's not just a... So when I hear Brett Cooper saying this, I'm actually disappointed, not because she's wrong, but because she would put herself in a position where she's essentially admitting she doesn't know what she's talking about here. That's what I'm disappointed to see.
Masculine and alpha. Newsflash, men.
Also, guys, we have to be honest here. A woman saying this is not masculine, you shouldn't be using a feminine emotional tone, or you think men are going to take that seriously. It's the expectation. It's just a little bit cringe there.
Most of that advice would give normal women the ick.
Ew, no, David.
Now, anyway, one of the biggest podcasts in this space is called Fresh and Fit. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. It predates the Whatever podcast, I believe, but it has a similar format where a bunch...
I'm just going to break the fourth wall, or I don't know if it's the fourth or fifth wall. I think that I know what's going on here. Someone else in her life has signaled to her repeatedly through conversation that there's something deplorable or unsavory, untenable about the red pill space, because this actually doesn't really echo Brett Cooper's sentiment that I've heard her discuss before in terms of what the red pill actually has to say about feminism, about delusion. As a matter of fact, Brett Cooper is constantly referencing the psychological differences between men and women. So she is not a feminist who believes that men and women are the same or that men need to be more feminine. She said the opposite before. So again, it's very strange to see this.
bunch of women will come on. They will talk to and get critiqued by the two hosts, whose names are Walter and Myron. I think Myron actually has a different name, but he goes by Myron. They also go by Fresh and Fit, respectively. The guy's got 3 names. I don't get it. Whatever, do your thing. And all of this is done under the guise of male improvement. And considering the struggles that men are very—
Not the guise of male improvement. You can check out their channel. Look, I'm not trying to plug their channel at all. I'm just simply stating the facts. They literally teach men how to go to the gym, how to make more money, how to better themselves in all aspects of life, and they bring on guests to talk about exactly those things.
Obviously facing in today's culture, you would hope that these incredibly influential, popular alpha bros giving advice—
They are very, very influential and powerful.
—would be good role models, right? We would hope that. We would assume that. Wrong. Before we get into this, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to this channel if you have not already. Baseline, if you do not watch Fresh and Fit, if you've not seen some of their clips, we need to watch some of their popular viral videos. Here we go.
If your dad cheated on your mom—
I don't think that is okay. I understand maybe she has to make a 12-minute video, 15-minute video, but if I were to do this, I would not react to shorts of Brett Cooper on YouTube. I would do exactly what I'm doing here, which is going to be a longer video, analyzing any errors I do see and explaining why I think they're errors.
How would you feel?
I'd applaud him. I'd be like, yeah, you got your money up, man.
How do you think mom would feel?
You know what? She wouldn't leave.
Myron is Muslim, by the way. He comes from a culture where it's acceptable to have 4 wives in his religion. I want to make that very clear.
She's a real one. She would be like, damn, okay.
But again, I'm not sure if Brett Cooper is aware of that, even though she claims to be aware of what the red pill is.
Okay.
If it was continuous,
She wouldn't leave.
do you think she'd be happy with the dynamics of that relationship, though?
She knows how it is.
Imagine being this man's mother and hearing him talk about you this way on his podcast.
Bro, he doesn't have like this Christian mom that you have here. He has a mom who's from Jordan. His dad's from Jordan too. They are both Muslims. They are already stooped in this culture. In fact, he talks about on his podcast about his mother is the inspiration for most of this because she taught him to think this way. Because this is the way their culture is. The red pill doesn't necessarily mean having multiple women. It means having the ability to have multiple women and choosing to either exercise those options or not exercise those options. That decision comes down to the individual man and his culture and his religion, maybe the country he lives in. But the point here that I think she's missing is that the ability to exercise options or to have multiple women can only come if you are a high-value man to begin with, because you can't pull that off if women don't respect you, if they don't admire you, if you don't have money, if you don't have status, etc. So to build up all of those categories as a man gives you a better position to potentially choose to do what he's describing. Again, being red pill aware doesn't mean having multiple women. It means understanding the true objective nature of intersexual dynamics. Myron just happens to be Muslim.
I'm going to applaud my dad if he cheats on my mom. Okay, great. We're starting off real strong here with this one. So glad that we are excusing cheating and breaking up families, aka the backbone of our culture.
Brett Cooper, that's so emotional. He said recently on a podcast, literally a few days ago, that the nuclear family is the backbone of civilization. And he's repeated that dozens of times that I've heard. I consider myself thoroughly on the side of Brett Cooper in terms of our opinions on the culture. We agree on probably 98% of things. In my honest view, so far she is being uncharacteristically emotional on this topic, which again leads me to think that there's some sort of outside influence going on here.
Somebody commented and said, first L, take brother. Loyalty is everything. In religion, in brotherhood, in faith, in marriage. Okay, first L, buddy. You've not been paying attention if this is the first L from them you've ever heard.
That's a really common thing that Fresh and Fit say, so that guy wouldn't be a fan of the Fresh and Fit show.
Someone else says, Myron presents the weak man's image of a strong man. Weak men can never speak for strong men. They lack the instinct for it. Amazing way to put it.
Let's see your life then, bro. Let's see your life. Let's see the way it's set up. How many men respect you? How high is your status? I mean, if you're going to call him weak, if you're going to call him counterfeit or a fraud, let's compare your life. Oh, he didn't do that. He didn't do that, though.
And usually strong men are not sitting on podcasts talking about their masculinity.
Damn.
Doesn't usually work like that. And
that's a very, very emotional thing to say as well. The way you reach people in today's day and age to do warfare with ideas is through the internet. And that's what she's doing herself. It doesn't detriment the merit of the ideas. That's actually kind of a liberal argument or a postmodernist argument she made there. Because the validity of ideas or someone's character even is not defined by their intersectionalist identity or even what their job is. It should be defined by the trueness or falseness of what they say.
To cover all of our bases, here's one of their fans who says, Myron is not religious. Stop putting religious standards on him. Okay. So now being a loyal, committed husband and
This guy tweeted at me, actually, because I conducted an analysis, that exact guy, because I was explaining on Twitter today about how the resentment feminism has for masculinity is actually the same as the resentment Marxism has for reality. This is the error conservatives make. They do not connect the dots of the ideology, I think, because they don't understand the architecture of Marxism. If they did, they would not have left this massive gap open in the market for people like Andrew Tate to say and demonstrate to men how they can transcend this cultural insanity of women hating men endlessly. Men cannot play the same game they played in the 1950s, and conservatives think they can. They are wrong about that. This is a part of the cultural landscape that they must update. Men cannot, I repeat, cannot use the same tactics to find and date a wife today that they could in the 1950s. And if they understood that, then podcasts like Fresh and Fit or Andrew Tate, they would not be necessary. They would not be popular.
Upstanding father.
It seems like a very obvious blind spot to me, though. The Red Pill, Andrew Tate, the Manosphere, etc., is as a direct response not to the right but to the left, which seems like it would be the right's responsibility to correct, and yet they haven't taken responsibility for that for some reason.
Who respects his children's mother is apparently a religious standard that you need to disavow. Thank you for saying the quiet part out loud. I am so glad that you are a terrible human being. Here's another clip.
That's emotional outburst number 3. Again, kind of uncharacteristic for Brett Cooper. This guy tweeted at me saying, "Can you believe she called me a terrible person?" And I explained to him, yeah, this is a very rare L for Brett Cooper.
The reason why it's so bad, guys, is that in 2023, we don't hold women accountable for their promiscuity anymore, right?
Why is she looking at him like that, as if what he's saying is ridiculous? Doesn't make sense. Is she... Okay, watch that again.
23, we don't hold women accountable for their promiscuity anymore, right? So...
Something funny about what he just said. I thought you were against promiscuity, Brett. I don't get it.
Since society doesn't hold women accountable for their promiscuity, you have to do it through your actions. You have to hold them accountable by your behaviors. So you're not going to change women. The only thing that you could do is adapt to the situation and change your behavior and not commit to these women.
And
That is all objectively true. Okay, so that's objectively true.
that's such a black pill take, because obviously if you guys watch the show, you know that I agree that...
No. The red pill is the... okay, I don't know if she knows what the black pill is. The black pill says give up. The red pill is the antithesis to the message of give up, because it is anti-nihilistic and says you must take on responsibility for your life and improve yourself in all ways. That is the opposite of a nihilistic philosophy or worldview.
Promiscuity is running rampant. You know that I agree that both men and women should be better and there should be change, but I do believe...
Okay, we'll get into it a little bit more deeply then. What exactly are women doing wrong? You've said it in previous videos. Are you going to acknowledge it here?
Women's behavior can be changed. It should be changed, but that...
Again, the right hasn't acknowledged exactly why women's behavior is so bad. It's because the ideology of Marxism, the ideology of the left, has funneled the resentment that it uses to bestow counterfeit virtue in the inverted intersectionalist hierarchies and told women demonize men in accordance with this philosophy, and that's what they've done. The right doesn't realize that for some reason. I don't understand why.
Besides the point. Remember what he said about accountability? Here's another video.
Guys don't like it when girls say signs and crystals.
Wait a second. So that first clip, she didn't actually disagree with anything he said there. I just want to acknowledge that.
And all other shit is
She just sort of like laughed a little bit and then smirked at the clip, but she didn't disagree with that previous clip.
basically what she does is she takes accountability away from herself and she puts it on the stars and the moon. So basically what she
Video.
guys don't like it when girls say signs and crystals and all other shit is basically what she does is she takes accountability away from herself and she puts it on the stars and the moon. So when she
Right, astrology.
does dumb shit, she's always able to say, "Oh, I'm a Scorpio."
So granted, I do agree with parts of both of these takes.
Why does Brett look upset right there? Why?
I agree with this point about, pseudo-spirituality in the form of signs and crystals. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. But the point is...
Oh, what? What? Okay. This is where I think her producers put together a compilation of clips and then said, react to this live on the show, because she agreed with both of these two clips and she just said a broken clock is right twice a day. But also, he didn't say that it's wrong because of spiritual reasons. He said that it's wrong because it takes accountability away from women, which again echoes what he said in the previous clip, and that is a position that you agree with, Brett Cooper. So I don't know why you're trying to demean or mock the points he's making there.
You guys might have noticed a through line in those last two clips. Women need to take accountability. Women are not taking accountability. This is wrong.
Okay, let's hear this, because yes, they do, and you've agreed to this before.
You need to fix that. If they're not married, it's their fault. If they're too promiscuous, it is their fault. If
Yes.
their man cheats on them, it's their fault. Our lives are our faults. But are all of these circumstances black and white? Absolutely not. Can men be at fault in relationships and be promiscuous? Obviously they can.
That's the entire point of the Fresh and Fit podcast is male self-improvement. There aren't female self-improvement podcasts where they're like, you need to do this, you need to fix your credit score, you need to get a job that pays more so that you can take care of a family, you need to go to the gym and better yourself. In fact, there's an entire parallel antithesis economy for women that tells them lies and says, love your curves. Yeah, you don't need to be a wife or raise children. You can have kids when you're 38. Whereas for men, it's like, do this, do this, do this. You're a loser if you're doing this. Change this. So yes, we all need to take accountability, but women are the ones running from accountability.
They are every single day. But it seems like the Fresh and Fit guys don't totally agree with that. In fact, I wonder if they believe that men should take any responsibility whatsoever, especially after seeing that Walter, the other host of the show, allegedly got his girlfriend pregnant.
Oh, did they make this video for this reason? You don't need clicks, Brett. Why would you do that? I don't believe this was her idea. I genuinely don't. I genuinely do not, because this is very uncharacteristic of who she is.
And then demanded that she get an abortion.
I'm not a massive fan of Walter, by the way. I think he brings a lot of value to the podcast in terms of bringing guests and, being sort of the calm dude. But no one really looks to Walter in terms of information. Myron does most of the talking. That's no shade to Walter. It's just a fact. Myron does most of the talking. Do I disagree with Walter's actions recently? Yes, of course. But is that the reason you made this video, really?
Sounds like not taking accountability, doesn't it? Let's just listen to this phone call that is allegedly...
Bro, you looked a little bit gleeful there, Brett. Why'd you look so gleeful?
An abortion. Sounds like not taking accountability.
Bro, what? Oh my gosh.
Isn't it? Let's just listen to this phone call that is allegedly between him and his girlfriend.
I want the baby because I don't want to kill the baby. I don't want to.
First of all, that is such a lie that is being pushed by both the medical industrial complex, by feminists, apparently by men.
Okay, so I fully disagree with abortion. I'm on the same page as her here. Again, I want to know if this is the reason she made the video, though. Because yes, people make mistakes. This isn't the first scandal. Everyone's made mistakes before. This girl has been proven to be a liar and a manipulator, and she has extorted men for money in the past. I'm talking about the woman that she's playing the video of. And Myron has come out and said that Fresh made a mistake, that Walter made a mistake. So they're not running from this,
A pregnancy. If you are engaging in sex, you have to...
I'm not going to pretend as though we all have to be like low IQ in our reaction to what's going on here. They give men tremendous amounts of true knowledge and information as to how the world works in terms of data, in terms of physically showing men, look, this is the way women operate and think. And they showed this 3 times a week. This seems like an opportunity that she's taking to sort of engage with this anti-Fresh and Fit sentiment as if they're jockeying for market share. Again, maybe this wasn't her idea.
You know that is a possible outcome. You are a grown man. You should know that. You cannot sit on your podcast and preach about how terrible women are.
Walter doesn't preach anything. He sits there in silence and doesn't say anything for most of the time. He reads super chats and that's about it. Myron does almost all the talking. So if this was Myron, it would be a really big deal. Fresh is sort of like Chris, the guy behind the camera. They talk about the same amount. People make mistakes. It doesn't change or take away from all the other true things that they've said and all the ways they've positively impacted the lives of thousands of men.
Rag on about on your show 24/7. Somebody commented and said, what a degenerate. Knocks her up, doesn't take accountability. Don't they drone
Oh, not this woman on X, bruh.
on and on about how women don't take accountability? Really write the propaganda. I completely... The person said, real talk, most of these alpha male podcasts just promote gender war propaganda. I completely agree. They create an insane divide between men and women. We are already so...
Bro, that is where she is incorrect there. Stating statistical facts about intersexual dynamics is not propaganda. It is actually a reaction to understand the dating landscape so that men don't end up in bad situations. And to not do that is a disservice to men. If men don't know that 80% of divorces are initiated by women, that the court system is going to wreck them if they get divorced. If they don't know that the average modern woman has been wrecked and ravaged by feminism into thinking that any sign of objectivity or masculinity is by default oppression, if they aren't aware of hypergamy, if they aren't aware just of basic gender psychology, then at minimum, they understand the world in a lower resolution, and at worst, their lives get destroyed. That's not propaganda.
So divided, we do not need more of this propaganda. That's a great way to put it. He goes on and says, these men love to excuse weak behavior.
There's not an equivalence between female degeneracy, where they demonize objective frameworks and the ability to make sense of just the world, and an unfortunate lapse in judgment by the minority co-host on a podcast that brings immense value to men. I mean, how many times are we willing to look past imperfections in... We do that because all the other qualities are so redeeming. This is dishonest.
fear and love mental gymnastics. Real men don't have to express how much of a man they are. Real men don't treat people like garbage.
Again, anytime a guy like this says real man, I want to like know what his life looks like, bro. What company do you own? How many men respect you? How high is your social status? How many women want to have your children? You're saying you're a real guy. You're saying you're a, quote, real man, and they're not? Cringe. And it's even more cringe when a woman says that. But for a guy to say it, I mean, we can openly mock that because it's like, okay, this guy, so who are you then?
Real men don't run. That last line hits hard. Now, Walter's girlfriend, whose name is Daisy, obviously recorded that conversation. She posted it. She also posted screenshots of their texts online. And there are plenty of be what you expect. Man up, I'm telling you now so that you know. She told him to man up. As she should have. I don't expect anything anymore since we're not together. I got pregnant with you when I was in your house and when I was in love. Now, a lot of people have been attacking Daisy for putting Fresh, aka Walter, on blast. They're calling her a grifter, a snake, that she's a gold digger just trying to get his money. But we see...
No, it's worse than that. She's factually been exposed as a woman who extorts men for money. Her past has now been exposed because people have dug into it. She's not a good woman at all. Really, really bad, in fact.
The pregnancy tests in the text, like tests from doctors.
I will say, guys, I've seen a ton of Brett Cooper videos. This is by far the most aggressive one. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Not just a clear blue. Now, maybe she is insane. I don't know her. Maybe it's all made up. Maybe she is just trying to get his money. But she also could be honest and be scared and...
She is trying to get his money. That's been proven.
Desperate option. Things I'm sure he would much rather keep private.
And if you admit that you don't know which one it is, then why are you speaking with such veracity on the topic?
Notes app screenshots detailing the timeline of their relationship. And introduced her to his mom, said he would have a baby with her. And that, people... is the most ridiculous part of this entire story, in my opinion, because they are both at fault here. They apparently only met in November. He just isn't a monogamous because he says, I love you once. That is, do not.
She's still talking about this for most of the video after reacting to 2 clips that she actually agreed with that her producers put together thinking, oh, this is going to make them look crazy. That's what feminist podcasts do. Why would you do this? Bro, oh gosh, dude. The clash between the right and the masculinity space is going to be incredible. I think that the most obvious intersection that could take place would be Jordan Peterson and Andrew Tate. Obviously, that conversation would be game changing, and it should have already happened. The Mikhaila Peterson complication, I think, is probably the only reason that hasn't happened. I did record a video about that a long time ago. Go ahead and check it out. It was one of my first videos that actually got over 1,000 views. But the reason this manosphere space exists is actually because of a failure of the right, and they will understand that clearly once they can accept and understand the architecture, as Jordan Peterson clearly does. So it should be very easy to demonstrate, especially to Jordan Peterson, that the resentment feminism has for masculinity is the same Marxism has for objective frameworks.
Involves you as well because it takes 2 people to make a baby. As this commenter said, it's a great lesson for you. Relational, be smart. When you did that is not completely saying no. Had this little whole situation. The co-host Myron, aka Fit, had this little meltdown on his show about the whole situation.
Meltdown? Come on.
Right there, when I got the false accusation against me. You know right there, when this bitch lied and said that I got her pregnant when I fucking did it. And then you dumbasses, 3 years later, bring some bitch that makes the same allegations again.
I would totally recommend taking advice from these men. They seem very stable.
Bro, stop it. Stop. That's, okay, strike number 4. At a certain point, you have to realize, at what point are we going to acknowledge that looking at YouTube shorts is not a way to disagree with people in depth? What if something crazy just happened to him and that's the reason he's emotional? It could be completely warranted. You don't actually know. That moment came after a 2.5 hour podcast where they were exposing the woman as being an insane, lunatic, liar, evil woman. What's funny is this critique from Brett Cooper actually proves their message even more correct when they talk about stoicism, because when you show the tiniest bit of emotion as a man, this is the reaction you get from women. Oh, look, you shouldn't be listened to anyway. Oh my God, look at you getting passionate and emotional as people try to slander you and tear down the brand you built with your blood, sweat, and tears. Oh my gosh, why are you so emotional? If anything, this is more of an ad for the message that they like to purport to people, which is that of stoicism. The number of times that Myron talks about emotional control in a single podcast is normally more than 5 to 10 times. So you take a clip 30 seconds long at the end of a 2.5 hour long conversation where there's more than a dozen reasons for him to get upset. And then the 12th reason he does get upset, and then you're going to call him out for that?
Very level-headed. I would absolutely love it if my husband was watching them and
Dude, stop. Are you kidding me right now? You're literally proving him right.
getting masculinity advice from them. That is fantastic. Are you idiotic? What is
Okay,
this?
so I think that it must be maybe her husband, unfortunately, or someone in her, social media team that is like telling her to do this. Because this is not old Brett Cooper. I hope this is just an aberration, because this is not as based as she could be.
This is a ridiculous display of emotional instability. And a lot of people were commenting and they were happy that Myron was sticking by Walter and defending him, which shows that he's just the best friend, men sticking together, whatever.
Why are you getting upset at men being loyal to each other? They built that podcast together. They went through extreme struggles and trials together. They got demonetized. They were the subject of massive social attacks. I can count at least 3 in the last 2 years. Those guys have been through hell and back together. And now you're demonizing him for showing emotions, standing by his co-host when his co-host makes a mistake. This feels like a market share play by the Daily Wire to try to steal some of their audience. This is not really based in a coherent critique of anything Fresh and Fit actually have to say. In fact, the 2 shorts that actually had a moment of substance where they made actual statements about how to operate and live your life, she didn't even disagree with them. Take accountability for your life. Women should take more accountability for their lives. I did see her get somewhat emotional when he said that men need to hold women accountable. That was disappointing to see.
All I see is a man excusing his friend's terrible, bad, disgraceful, hypocritical behavior. And on top of that...
Okay, that's a lie. He literally said in the podcast where they addressed this that Fresh messed up. He did not defend the behavior. He did point out how the woman does this to multiple men. She has a track record of extorting men for money, doing this using pregnancy to get money, extract money and resources from the guy. She has a fake identity. Her name is made up. Her real name is a Chinese name. She immigrated to the United States. Should Fresh have been not as negligent and paid more attention and been more careful? Of course. I believe in total accountability. And they took accountability. And again, Brett Cooper hasn't watched the full podcast. She hasn't actually disagreed. She's pretending as though she disagrees with what they have to say when she doesn't even know what they say. At the beginning, she said that they don't believe in the nuclear family when they say repeatedly that they do. This is kind of a failure. This is just a continuation of the failure of Jordan Peterson and Tate not having a conversation.
They're encouraging
If that had happened, this wouldn't be taking place right now.
their audience to go trash this young woman, Daisy. Their fans mass reported her Instagram accounts, got them taken down. Some people on Twitter think that they are trying to cause her enough stress to force her to miscarry the baby, which I don't know if that's
Bro,
true.
stop. No, why are you saying these things on your channel?
But that is a sickening thought. Single-handedly saved more Western men's lives than any other podcast ever.
Correct. Sneako's correct.
Shit you want, but Fresh and Fit has single-handedly saved more Western men's lives than any other podcast ever.
Correct. They get call-ins saying that you prevented me from self-deletion. That is a fact.
Like, dude, be so serious. Like, for once, that is so far from factually true.
Okay, so there she's lying, unfortunately. That is not correct. Either she's lying or she is literally not aware of how many lives Fresh and Fit has changed. I was never at that low of a point, but they did positively impact my life. And there are many men that were at seriously low points that were given hope by Myron's message. Keep in mind, the Fresh and Fit podcast was big before the Tates were big. So at a certain point, they were the only ones saying the current dating landscape is ruined. It's destroyed. But you can transcend this absolute show by taking ultimate responsibility for your life, improving yourself, making more money, becoming higher status, going to the gym, and you think that didn't save men's lives? You started this video by acknowledging that their audience is massive, that their influence is enormous. So this is, again, not coherent.
Try Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, Huberman, if you want to talk about medical advice. Like,
What medical advice? What? You think that people are, drawn to... With the exception of Jordan Peterson, because he actually came before Fresh and Fit, do you think people are going to go and, watch Andrew Huberman be like, dude, by watching you really inspired me to take the gun out of my mouth with all this neuroscience talk? Okay, so this reeks of the feminine perspective that just doesn't understand or doesn't want to understand what actually speaks to men. It's the reason why men love Tate when he got his $5 million car even more.
Be so serious. Like, for once, that is so far from factually true.
No, it's not. No, it's not. This is just a lack of investigation into what they actually have to say.
No good man should be idolizing those guys. The whole story is just a mess. But the lesson here...
This is a Brett Cooper L, unfortunately. I'll release this video as soon as I can. It'll go up tomorrow. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, guys, and let me know what you think. I'm sure I hope this gets some attention, because this is a conversation that the right has to have. The right has failed young men. The dating landscape is not what conservatives wish that it was, and it's because the left has actually corrupted it in a way that is gone unnoticed. Even Jordan Peterson, with his immense knowledge and breadth of psychological understanding, just the fact that he has not been in the dating marketplace or even been adjacent to it for so long, most people don't understand how bad it's gotten in the last 10 years alone. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And it's going to be worse in the next 10 years. This is the reason why men have to understand hypergamy, intersexual dynamics, the importance of increasing their ability in all domains, their status, their money, getting in better shape, and the reasons to do this. When degenerate feminists teach women to detest masculinity, you have to have the leverage or you're going to get destroyed. I have a friend that's getting destroyed right now in a divorce, and it's because he got married at the age of 21, not knowing what he's doing, to a woman that didn't love, respect, and admire him, but he was just following the TradCon advice, getting married young. Oh, that's the great thing to do. Get a house with her. Oh, that was great, wasn't it? Except now, when he's insanely depressed and his life's falling apart. If only I could have shown him Fresh and Fit back then, but I didn't know him at the time. Very sad. If you enjoyed this video, guys, subscribe. If you're watching on X, retweet. This conversation needs to be amplified so that there can be an exchange of data and conversation here. Because this divide is not necessary. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Subscribe to the channel.